Hey everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. If you're new to my channel, I am so glad you're here. I'm glad you found me. I happen to be a home gardener in the state of Missouri. I garden in a zone 6. I also happen to have my certification as a Missouri Master Gardener, and that just lets me go a little bit deeper into my knowledge of plants and helps me grow as a home gardener as well. Before we jump into today's video, I'm going to invite all of you to make sure you like and subscribe. That helps me grow my little channel so that I can get more subscribers, which means I can produce more content to share with the rest of you. I am just an average home gardener. I happen to garden on 10 acres, which I'm very fortunate to have such a wonderful space to garden in. And so having this much land affords me an opportunity to grow all kinds of things and have different types of gardens. I have a raised bed garden that we've been using for the last 7 or 8 years, and that continues to expand and grow. I love to grow vegetables, cut flowers, loads of herbs in the raised bed space. But I also happen to have a lot of borders and garden beds for beautiful shrubs and perennials and annuals around my home. And one of our most favorite things that I think I could say my husband and I are pretty proud of is we started a 2-acre section of our property and we turned it into a wildlife pollinator habitat. So we're growing only native plants there that are wonderful places for all kinds of pollinators to grow, for all kinds of critters to find a shelter in and to make into their homes. And it's also really beautiful at certain times of the year. Having said all that, though, I am coming to you today in today's video from inside my greenhouse. We got our greenhouse about a year ago, and so I learned a lot of lessons from you, from other greenhouse growers, from my own experimentation in the greenhouse. So today's video is all about how to prepare your greenhouse for fall and winter. This video is really going to be meaningful to those of you who have a greenhouse and you want to grow things throughout the winter and you happen to garden in a zone 6 or lower, meaning you have cold winters just like we do. We get below freezing many times. We get plenty of snow, but this amazing greenhouse, because I've winterized it, I can use this greenhouse to keep beautiful things growing all winter long. So what I thought I might do is I'm going to just share with you my 6 biggest tips for how to winterize your greenhouse, how to get things set up in your greenhouse so that you can grow things and keep your plants healthy and happy throughout winter. So I'm going to go through those quickly right now, and then I'm going to grab the camera, turn it around. I'm going to show you parts of my greenhouse and kind of focus in on those 6 tips and show you what we've done inside the greenhouse to be able to keep things looking this great all season long. Okay, first things first. You have to combat this cold, the winter time, so you must heat your greenhouse. You absolutely can't get by with growing tropicals, with growing tender herbs or tender annuals without heating your greenhouse. So I'm going to show you how we heat our greenhouse and how we use automatic temperature thermometer gauges to keep track of how warm or cold it gets inside the greenhouse. Second thing, in my particular greenhouse, when we purchased it and they come fully assembled, Yoderbuilt is the company that we went with. They come fully assembled, and actually the floor of our greenhouse is built like decking. It's wooden decking that has space between those boards, and cold air and things in the winter can come up through that decking. But we have solved that problem by putting down a special flooring that keeps the heat in and the cold drafts out. Another important thing that we found that we needed to do to add extra heat to the greenhouse in the winter and actually to keep things cool in the summer is we installed insulation around the lower part of the greenhouse. That foam board we popped in, and I actually then covered that pink foam board that a lot of you are familiar with some stained wood panels so it would match the interior of the greenhouse. Another thing I'm going to take you outside and show you is the skirting that we installed around the exterior of our greenhouse. The greenhouse that we have is pre-built, and when it's delivered, it sits off the ground about 6 inches. And what that means is that cold air, rodents, all kinds of things could get under our greenhouse and come up through those floorboards I mentioned earlier. So we actually installed skirting all the way around the greenhouse, and that has worked beautifully to keep critters out of the greenhouse, to keep cold, icy air from coming up underneath and into the greenhouse. So I'll make sure that I get the camera and take it outside to show you that as well. What else? Oh, one other thing that we do actually year round is we have a fan, an oscillating fan that runs about 24/7. That's important for many reasons. So I'll talk more about the fan and what it can help to do to actually circulate hot or cool air in the greenhouse to keep your plants healthy. So, of all of the 6 tips that I'm going to share with you today, the first tip is, in my opinion, the most important consideration when you're going to try to grow plants throughout the fall and winter. And that is, you have to heat your greenhouse. So, I just want to take you all along and show you how we go about heating the greenhouse. But before I do that, I'm going to do a quick tour of inside my greenhouse right now and to show you the beautiful plants that are doing great because of using all of the tips that I'm going to share with you today. Let's just start over here. So this is my raised bed, one of my raised bed boxes. And as you can see, it's loaded with beautiful herbs like basil and parsley, some rosemary, marjoram, and I've got a little lavender here. And this is amazing because it will stay healthy and happy all year long. And I can come in here and grab things that I need to prepare a meal. Let's just go over here. So this is my little work table. And right now I have some Maverick geraniums, coral ones that I started from seed. Let's take a look at this beauty. I mean, aren't they lovely? So these are some geraniums. You'll see loads of geraniums in the greenhouse because they just happen to do so well in the greenhouse. And I just love them. There's nothing better than me being able to sit in my chair and have a cup of coffee or maybe a glass of wine, and it's snowing outside and I am surrounded by all of this lovely color and beauty. Here's some croton. This is a tropical house plant that I got for some fall decorations. And so there they are. Now let's go down here to this other raised bed box. So again, you can't see it because my nasturtium plants are spilling over the edge, but in this bed, I'm doing an experiment, and what I did was I took cuttings of my beloved coleus. If you haven't seen my videos on coleus, I will make sure I include them for you. It's one of my favorite annuals. Coleus are tropical. They are tropical annuals. And where I live, the first hard frost melts them. They do not last. But in my heated greenhouse, I can keep them going. You'll see over here, I've got beautiful nasturtiums. I took these from my raised bed garden towards the end of the season and transitioned them inside. They aren't blooming at the moment, but they have gorgeous red, orange, and yellow flowers. Here's another beloved geranium I grew from seed, Maverick geranium. I have some other videos on how I did that this past spring, so you'll have to check it out. I'm going to try to overwinter my beautiful Boston fern. It's humongous, so it sits up on that shelf. And then let's just swing around here real quick. Some more beautiful geraniums. I mean, look, that hot pink. Oh, I'm going to be able to see these beautiful flowers in the middle of winter because I'm heating my greenhouse. More nasturtiums. Again, all we're seeing is the green foliage right now, but they will put on flowers pretty soon. Last but not least, what else is growing over here? Again, geraniums I grew from seed. These were outside. But when the weather started turning cool, I decided I'd pull a couple of my plants, repot them in here, as well as this beautiful ivy. Those things would not last in my zone 6 climate. They would not last in fall and winter. They cannot take that kind of cold. All right, let's get to heating your greenhouse. All right, most important thing, heating your greenhouse. So let's just come down here. Right now, I have an electric oil-based heater on this end of the greenhouse. And here you can see I have it plugged in to a thermostat. I hope that'll show up. I'm not sure if it will on video. This thermostat is amazing because it will tell me that it's currently 62 degrees in the greenhouse. Outside, it's about 52. So it's a bit warmer in here. But the great thing about these thermostats, in my opinion, is they're programmable. So I have this set for 55 degrees. So that means when it gets 55 degrees inside the greenhouse, this heater will automatically turn on and keep things safe. On this end of the greenhouse right now, I have this little electric heater, and it's doing the job for now. It's, I think, a Honeywell heater, and it is plugged in right over here, and it also is connected to an automatic thermostat. And I have found with my greenhouse, which is 8 foot wide by 16 feet deep, I need 2 heaters in winter. Another thing I thought might be helpful for you all to know is that in the really coldest time of winter here in my zone 6 garden, we will oftentimes pull in a third heater. We will use our propane heater. Propane heaters can be dangerous if you don't know how to operate them properly. So I would really encourage you, if you consider using a propane heater, to be careful. But for us, it really is important. When it gets below freezing, it's just another added layer of protection for our plants. Tip number 2 is all about flooring. It's not about how clean the floor is, because this is a greenhouse. It's a working greenhouse and I use it all the time. But you're going to see down here, I hope you can see, where we have installed these mats that we got, I think, at Harbor Freight. I will put a link in the description below. But we put these rubber mats on top of what looks like decking. And it has worked beautifully to keep the greenhouse warm and actually cooler. It's a great form of insulation. So depending on the type of floor you have in your greenhouse, you might want to consider something like this. Some people will use horse stall mats for, horse barns. I've seen some people just have great luck with putting down really good solid inside outside rugs. But for me, this is really functional. It's easy to clean, and it's really great on your feet. Another thing that we did to add insulation for winter and summer is we installed that foam board, that insulation board, and you can almost see it. I'm going to try to pull this back. Can you see that in there? I need to get in here and secure this better, but we installed foam board all the way around our greenhouse from here to here. So this is about, I think, 4 foot tall. We installed all the way around the entire greenhouse. You can't see it over here, but insulation foam board. And then I wanted it to look pretty, so we took some Luan and I stained it to kind of coordinate with, the stain of the greenhouse, and to cover that up. That was essential for us to cut down on any kind of drafting that might happen on the walls. In terms of insulating the walls of our greenhouse, I just wanted to share with you all that the Yoder-Built company who built our greenhouse now offers insulation packages to customers. I think that probably came out of the fact that Most of us that are Yoder-built fans, that have Yoder-built greenhouses, that live in cold climates, we've had to take it on ourselves to insulate so that we can grow things year-round. And I think they saw the need out there. And so if you're interested in a Yoder-built greenhouse and you go to their website, which I'll make sure I link in the description below, you might now see that they're offering insulation packages for those of us who garden where it can get really cold. Well, we've talked about the importance of using heaters in your greenhouse and setting them up on a thermostat that will let them kick on at 50 or 55 degrees. We've talked about flooring for my type of greenhouse, why that's so important. And we've talked about the using insulation in the walls. Two more things I want to share with you, two more tips on how to keep your plants healthy and happy in the winter inside the greenhouse. That would be a fan. This is a Vever fan. I purchased it online. I'll try to put a link in the description below. This has been a workhorse of a fan for my greenhouse. Why would we want a fan in the middle of winter? Because these heaters will send heat out. Heat wants to go up into the eaves, of course, because we know that heat rises. This oscillating fan will continue to circulate nice, warm, heated air all throughout my greenhouse to keep my plants healthy. So that I use my greenhouse for starting seeds. It has been a game changer. I wasn't much of a seed starter for many years because I didn't have a space inside my house to start all my plants from seeds. But this last year, my project was amazing. I really had such great success. I grew probably 80% of all my vegetables, herbs, and flowers from seed, and I started them in the greenhouse. So this fan is essential for starting seedlings. When you grow seeds inside your house or in a greenhouse like I do, you need to make sure you are running a fan over those seed trays, because what that does is it keeps the seeds from getting moldy and yucky and dying, but it also helps the new little plants get tough. They need the air just like they're going to get when they're out in the landscape. So gosh, this fan is a lifesaver, not only for circulating hot air or cool air in the summer, but also for my seed starting. Last but not least, tip on the list is that skirting of the greenhouse we talked about. And let me see if I can get down here and get a close up so you all can see what I'm talking about. So when we purchased the greenhouse, from here to here was open, which means air and critters could get up underneath the greenhouse. So my husband installed this lower panel of skirting all the way around the entire perimeter of our greenhouse. And that has really helped us keep our plants healthy and happy with blocking any kind of airflow or snow blowing in underneath the greenhouse in the winter. So that's about it, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today as I got to share with you a little bit about what's going on in my greenhouse and the 6 tips that I have come across that seem to help my plants thrive in the cold of fall and winter. I would love to hear from any of you out there that happen to use a greenhouse to grow things, to start your seeds. Share with me your tips and ideas. What have been your experiences? I also want everybody to know that this was not a sponsored video by Yoder-built. I happen to think they're an amazing greenhouse company, but there's loads of other greenhouse companies out there that I'm sure are just as good. And this wonderful investment in my own greenhouse has been a game changer for this Mid-Missouri gardener. So until next time, I wish you all happy gardening.